Ha ha. You better choose yourself and let's get it. Welcome to another episode on the Choose Yourself channel. Today, we talking about relationships and not just the ones with other people. Your relationships are a reflection of your self-belief. We talking about your relationship with your creator, with your excuses, with your past traumas, your relationship with your addictions and your vices, okay? Your relationships with your past and your relationships will identify the version you're about to become. You don't want to abandon ship and turn your life into battleship. You more concerned about the price of shipping than who's on your ship. What are you doing? You can't
Mhm.
build a healthy relationship with someone else when you ghost yourself, cheat on your goals, and keep going back to the same emotional vending machine expecting nourishment. That's like asking a microwave for a slow cooked meal. Don't be fake, fast, or cheap. Don't nobody want that ultra processed food, water, ale, soil screens people. Now, today's guest has traveled the world, healed heartbreaks across time zones, coached men through emotional awareness, been on TV, hosts of podcasts, and somehow made breakup to glow up sound less like a Pinterest quote and more like a self mastery blueprint. She teaches why dating men she teaches why dating has been overrated, why relationships don't last, and why the phrase, the happier I make him, the happier I make me, is not self-betrayal, it's polarity done right. Masculine direction, feminine presence, not control, not performance. Just two whole people who handled their inner chaos before asking someone else to hold on to it. Passport stamp,
Woo!
nervous system regulated, excuses on mute. Welcome to the show, y'all. Miss Chelsko, how you feeling? Thanks for joining us.
Amazing. Thank you for that killer intro. My God, will you write my bio for me too? It's so good. Hey, I love it.
My mom showed me a bunch of art I was doing when I was younger, and I've been writing poetry since about third grade, second grade.
I love that. I love that. Well, you are a natural. That's incredible. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the work you're doing. Yeah, let's get into it.
Saw a few of your videos and talking about relationships and how a lot of people are unhealed and the
Mhm.
risk and fear of being in relationships nowadays, especially with the overabundance of what looks like to be options in the world because of the
Mhm.
internet. And so as we go through
Yeah,
the choose yourself process, triggers, environment, foundation,
yeah.
investment, contribution, what relationship triggers have you had to overcome to get to this level of awareness and evaluation?
So it's interesting because it's crazy timing. I actually am still working through. I try to practice what I preach, right? I just embarked on a 4-month journey, which I've invited anyone to join me. And it can look different for everyone, right? What does choose you look like, right? What is that thing that you have to give up that is actually an act of self-abandonment, whether that be dating or alcohol or drugs or, there's so many different things that we do that are not serving us, right? And like you said, we can't serve God in our fullest if we are doing things that are not serving us and if we are self-abandoning. So on this next 4 months for me, what that's going to look like is that I am not dating or talking to men. Now, I am talking to one right now, but I am
Really?
not talking to men outside of work. So if it's a client, it's very professional. There's, very, very, very hard lines of a professional working relationship. But outside of that, no, I am not. No small talk, no dates, no banter. No, I got quite a few Christmas texts yesterday. I did not respond. And it is not because I'm mean. It is not because I'm being rude or being selfish. I'm choosing me. I'm choosing this season of healing for me and what that really looks like to walk away, completely cut myself off from any male attention. Because for me, when I look back at my like way, way, way early, so I was in 2 back-to-back abusive relationships, which gave birth to all of this, right? The growth. I was in these 2 relationships and I was like, why am I allowing this over and over? Like these same same patterns, these same problems, these same people, right? We will continue learning a lesson over and over until we learn it. The life will continue presenting the same lesson to us. And we will keep meeting the same people just in different bodies. And so the reason for me that I ended up like going deep diving into why I allowed those things, right? Is that I was just wanting to be loved and wanting that attention more than like I felt like I needed it. Right. So when we really take time to work on ourselves and realize we're whole and complete in ourselves, we won't accept less than. We won't accept being treated poorly because we know we're good on our own. So I did already do something very similar to this before my business, before everything. I took about 6 months and didn't date and wasn't on apps and wasn't talking to anyone. And it was a beautiful, incredible chapter of my life. Right after that, I got into my first ever very healthy relationship. We ended up splitting amicably, and it's been 4 or 5 years. And I ended up starting my business because I was like, "Wow, look what happens when you do the work!" Right? It's incredible, and I was able to then identify and see all these other women that were staying in this cycle, right? And not noticing that they were attracting and attracted to the same men over and over again. And I recognize like if you don't change those patterns when you're young, you'll wake up 55 and be with the same guy just in a different body, right? Still being abused, still being neglected, still being whatever it is. And the reality isn't the person is the guy is the problem. The reality is you're allowing it. So because I went through this transformation and it was able to change my habits and change my patterns and what I was attracted to, I set out to help other people do the same. And over the last year, when I set out originally to help women, I had all these men coming to me being like, I've been through that. And I'm like, what?
Hmm.
And it softened my heart. And just the Lord has done some major work in me in this past year because abuse knows no gender, right? These things are human. They are patterns that are human. Being selfish, not being selfish enough, all of these things that we do, we men and women both do. So it's about learning to really be introspective and take a inventory of the things that we need to work on, but also the things that we love about ourselves and allow healing to happen. So I met my business partner, Kate, and she is incredibly talented with breath work. So what we do is we do talk therapy and we talk about these patterns and how to change these patterns, how to recognize what you're doing so you can change them. But also the breath work helps to heal this trauma that really lives in your body, right? So over the past year, I finally started dating again and I noticed like some old patterns kind of creep on up, right? Where it's like fear of intimacy or fear that I'm going to get hurt again or just not being secure in myself enough yet to make um secure decisions or ones that are going to serve me long term or rushing things because I want so badly to have that whole healthy relationship that I talk about and I know I'm capable of, but rushing things instead of just sitting in my body and in my energy and noticing who a person is because that takes months, right? Like people rush into things. And this is the problem on the internet. We rush into something and we have a great date and we like sleep with them and then all of a sudden we're prematurely attached and then it's like all fireworks and all of this and then we wonder why in 3 months down the line we're fighting over like core values that were never discussed. Right? So it's about slowing down and making sure you're secure and assured in yourself and in your space so that you can make educated decisions. So for me, I decided I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it again. Like I've done it before, but I'm going to take it even a notch up this time and really spend 4 months. I decided 4 months because I'm hosting a trip to Mykonos in May. I'm gonna take 4 months, and after New Year's, I'm not gonna be drinking at all either to just really be sober minded and sit and enjoy myself and get to know her
Mhm.
again and just really, really be grounded in who she is and so that I can accept all decisions that come my way because I've learned all these things and I know for the most part, like I post a lot, so I'm pretty sure I have a pretty good grasp of like what a good Christian husband wants, right? But it's about really tapping into like, okay, now what does Chelsea want? What does Chelsea need? Chelsko, to explain that Chelsko is Chelsea in Czech, so that's why I go by Chelsko.
Ah,
But just
clever.
really tapping into yeah, well, it was my dad's doing.
Oh, nice.
Um, but really tapping into, who I am so that I'm making decisions based not even off of desire, but off of like, is this relationship going to glorify God? And then in the end of the day, the problem that our generation doesn't see, and I was noticing this yesterday with my grandma who, was in the most beautiful marriage ever. And they were together until he passed. He's been gone since she was 70, I want to say like 77, and she's 92 now. She never remarried. She's like, I had the love of my life. Period. Like the epitome of good relationships. And I was just sitting there and looking at her and realizing like what made their relationship so beautiful and so successful was she's just full of gratitude and content and she's content. And I think that right is the problem is we're always looking for the shiny objects, right? The grass is always greener, the this, and that. Like, and even some people, it's like, well, is this God's best for me? Like, and I like number one, it's really important to ask that question. But at some point, like we can't be like, well, I don't know if this is the one God chose for me. It's like, no, 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 no. Just look at the facts, look at the things about who someone is. What are their values? Do they want the same things to you? Are they serving God, if you're serving God, you want to be with someone who's equally yoked. What are their flaws? Are you going to be okay with them forever? Because that is who they are. It is part of who they are. Can you accept them, the good, the bad, the ugly for them? And then can you make a choice and stick with that choice? And that is where we're a little bit messy these days in our society because it's like, oh, well, maybe this is a sign, or
Too soft,
maybe, it's just
especially
yeah,
men.
is always yeah, just always looking for something different, something better, or just judging a relationship off of the wrong things. It's not about finding out they're your soulmate, you're the one, and all the stars are gonna it's not Disney. It's not real. Like,
It ain't the movies.
like it no, it's not gonna be star like, butterflies and fireworks, and you're gonna feel like everything is perfect and nothing is gonna make you doubt, like, that's not real. That sitting and choosing your person over and over when there is doubt is what makes those relationships like my grandma.
Man, you said a lot that aligns with the choose yourself process. And that is
Yeah.
exactly why I invited you on the show. And I'm sure everybody that's listening is like, oh, triggers. Oh, environment. Oh, 80/20. Oh, break free. Find your balance. Oh, pendulum swing. All the stuff we talk about. Now, you can't identify nobody else if you can't even do what you say in solitude. First of all, y'all, don't start going out here judging other people. You can't wake up on time and put the damn vices down and save your money. Don't you ain't
Mhm.
you can't attract a pure-hearted person with a broken heart. You can't attract a
Mhm.
financially secure person if you can't even stop spending your shit on bags and cars and DoorDash. Okay, so find a way to figure out if you can break free, just like you doing, like you did. You broke free, you went in
Yeah.
solitude, you dated yourself, you became the woman that a true leader of a man would appreciate, someone who isn't overzealous, who doesn't give guys attention, who doesn't go out of her way, who doesn't banter, who doesn't smile, who doesn't that's the exact woman that you're embracing now that is probably the same switch you're going to hit when you do find your soulmate in a natural relationship, which is similar to the one, that's created by God. But you talked about your trigger point, which were your past relationships. Then you started to evaluate your environment. And then when it comes to, I was a serial dater myself from age 18 to 30, and then I went single for 4 years. And so, same when I was 2 years in addiction, I went 18 months sober. Now I embrace the balance. And so, you have to break free first. You can't be talking about I'm single and go on dates every week. You got to figure out who the hell you are first and protect your energy. And that's why my book is called Choose Yourself to Be Chosen. If you're trying to get chosen by somebody externally by evaluating and judging them, then every time you see a trigger point, it turns to a breaking point. But the goal is to do the healing before the trigger point. So you turn it to a turning point and leave that in the past.
Yeah,
So,
that right there.
and that's what you're doing. So I admire that definitely. And
Thank you.
what were some things that you would say as far as what people are seeking externally to evaluate what a healthy soulmate is that is completely wrong?
So that's why we created our course and called it Self Mastery Blueprint. It's not the how to get someone to fall in love with you. It's how to master yourself, right? So that you can identify the right things. I think what you're asking is like, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, what are some things that people are looking for that are not important?
Yeah.
Is that what you're kind of asking?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of the time, money, right? Money, looks. Those 2 are the big ones. Those are big ones, and I call myself on it. Like, I'm still in the dating world, right? So I still have to call myself on that stuff. And it's just wild because it's like you said, your best friend. You're choosing your best friend. Like, you don't choose your family based off of their looks, you know? Like, that's your family and they ride or die for you. And um it's like wild to me that we base who we're going to spend like the next 60 years of our life with on how they're going to look for like 3 of those
It
years.
ain't gonna look like that when y'all
Like,
get up there, dang it.
the math ain't
Ain't
mathin',
matching.
And so, and then another thing too, is the finances and growing up. So I grew up in Malibu, growing up in this environment with a ton of money around me and a ton of very unhappy people. Like, everyone knows, like, more money, more problems, right? But it's so hard in today's day and age when you see social media and it looks like, oh, they have it all together and it's so nice and it's so pretty. And like, and it's also hard when you come from, financial struggles and you're like, "I just don't wanna have those struggles." And I think the goal needs to be, um, the right thing that you really need to look at with someone is their relationship with money. I think rather than looking at how much money they have,
Mhm.
you need to look at their relationship with money. Because the reality is, if they have a ton of money when you get with them, you could lose everything. It happens all the time. Look at Jim Carrey, I think, said at a graduation speech, like, his dad did all the right things and lost everything. So he decided, like, if you can do what you hate and lose it all, we might as well do what you love.
Mhm.
Right. So, but the reality is, it's the relationship with money that will make or break your marriage, right? Because you can go through spells of like not having money. And if both per people, if for example, my ex's mom, like, she was like, a saint, and I just remember this story that they shared of when they were younger. They didn't have like anything, and she would like put soup in a little canister and like take them to the beach and make it an exciting like little outing that probably cost $5, right? But like, that's why he chose her, and that's why they ended up being so successful.
And once she gets rich, she'll just be more of that person.
Exactly, exactly. So, like, the Lord really, like, you have to learn to be happy with nothing in, sickness and in health, with nothing and with everything. It just, that is the goal and that is the real, like, key. Because also, if you find someone that isn't happy with a little, they're not going to be happy with a lot either.
Mhm.
It's never going to be enough. It's never going to be enough. And it's going to be this endless thirst, that just cannot be satisfied. So I think that the important things that we need to look at are character. I think another thing that's huge when you look at and you're with someone, they can be super hot and popping and have like all these IG millions of followers and be, all these accolades or whatever, but like how do they treat people?
Yeah,
How do they treat people?
how you treat people, how you treat new people, your friends, how you treat your family, and how
Mhm.
you treat your damn dog. That's important too. If you spoil the shit out your dog and you can't stand on discipline, well, that shows some type of emotional unawareness. And I think for sure
That's a good point.
traveling with somebody and seeing them under pressure, that's when the mask comes off. Cause you can put on makeup and you can do all that, but once we get under pressure and shit go down, if you freak out, start crying, I don't know what you do. But chasing somebody because of what they look like, their followers, money, achievement, status, material things, all those things are changing. And if their happiness comes from those things, they're trend chasing, not trend setting. And you'll never be a trendsetter when you're chasing trends. What you need to be looking for is what they gonna say at the funeral, the eulogy virtues, character, belief system, morals, core values, your manners, your posture, your eye contact, how you represent us in public. What you doing? You over here talking to everybody? Come on now. We got boundaries and a connection here we trying to protect because we got to remember, we're going to get into this too. Men and women interacting with the opposite sex, there's different intentions behind it. Naturally, it's the natural
Mhm.
way, the primitive way
Mhm.
is women are emotionally connecting and men are seeking to have sex, mostly, especially nowadays because of dating apps, porn, and the abundance of nudity and sexual explicit content online. It's like that's the first thing on their mind.
Yeah.
And these kids nowadays are
Yeah.
struggling with their ability to even talk to women because they can get the full display on the screen. So now when and in love, this is what's gonna happen. You think you heal by yourself. When you get with somebody you love, you're gonna find out there's shit down there that you could never get until you reach a level of love that had to pull it out.
Yeah.
You gotta find somebody for that.
Yeah.
And I've been going through that myself. I was 4 years, I'm like, "I'm set, man. I got my boundaries. I know exactly what I want. I know for sure. There she is. Whoop." And then all of a sudden you start loving and you start opening up and you start becoming more
Yup.
vulnerable and more honest. And then you have to be accountable with what you said because you got somebody right there watching your ass. So now do
Mhm.
you have the systems and the foundation to be able to be
Yeah.
accountable and sit in it, process it, not get caught up in it and run from it? Do you have the systems in your solitude? So you talked about breath work. What are some other things that people can do? Because a lot of times, if you don't heal, you confuse your unresolved trauma with emotional chemistry. So, what are some things that
Oh, yeah.
we can do, in solitude to prepare our mind, nervous system so that we can identify those things? Or what have you done?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I want to just hit on what you said because that's huge. What we call that confusing trauma with chemistry, we call that your comfortable chaos
Hmm.
instead of your uncomfortable calm, right? So if you were brought up with a parent that was maybe avoidant or not there, maybe they left, or a parent that is like very much there and then they pulled back, very involved and then they're gone, very, back and forth, then your nervous system recognizes this push pull dynamic as love. That's normal, right? To you, that feels normal because as a kid, right? We have to survive. We have to make that relationship with our parent what we have to be okay with it. Otherwise, we'll die, right? Like as a
Hmm.
kid, you're like, if I don't get food, I will die. So I have to learn to make this normal. So then that trickles into our adulthood. And if we've normalized the push pull dynamic, then when we recognize it, someone maybe is very involved and then they ghost us and they're very involved and they ghost us, or maybe they're hot and they're cold and they're mean and then or they're happy and then they closed off. That push pull dynamic is familiar. So it feels like chemistry, right? When it's really it is our comfortable chaos. And so what we have to do to recognize that we have to get uncomfortable, right? We have to get our uncomfortable calm. And so journaling is one thing I do a lot. Because if you write down, so when you physically write, so it's hard to sometimes to get my male clients to write because they're like, I don't journal. But when we are doing the act of writing, it actually slows down our brain so we can process things more. And what we have a habit of doing too is we warp things in our brains, or we'll focus on certain bits but forget other ones. So I will literally write down a list of things that are happening. Green flags, red flags, what are they? Look at the logic, look at the facts. We can't just go off our feelings because our feelings are over here. And my pastor said in a sermon I watched last week, whoever said follow your heart was an idiot. Like, that is the worst advice you can
What do you
possibly give
follow?
someone, because you follow, the Bible. You
Stories.
follow the Bible, you follow the word, you follow logic, you follow facts, right? And the reality is your feelings, you will fall deeply in love, deeply, deeply in love when you choose someone over and over again for the right reasons, right? Like,
Mhm.
maybe it doesn't feel comfy right now because he keeps showing up and he's here and I'm not used to this. He's just constant and he's consistent, but let me write down, what is he doing? He's being consistent. He's sticking to his word. Whenever he says he's going to do something, he does it, right? Like, those are facts that in the end of the day may feel uncomfy at first, but then my body will start to recognize, oh, this is actually safe. But you have to reprogram first your nervous system to recognize what is that uncomfortable calm and make that uncomfortable calm feel comfortable again. So, breath work, meditation, deep trauma healing. I'm doing EMDR therapy. I think it's EMDR. Um, and you can also, yeah, journaling, writing these things down. There is Those are the main ones. Sound baths, sound healing, all of these things that tap into layers that are underneath that we've buried that have been, and they can be even generational trauma, right? So we host, my business partner and I, um retreats where we will do like extensive um sound baths and extensive breath work. So as you're going into like a state of calm and your body is able to like dig up things that if you just keep busy all the time and doing the next thing and like going to lunch and you're going to this and you're doing this and you don't stop, you can't deal with stuff that lives in your body. If you deal with it, you can feel it to heal it, we say, and you can release it. And you can then realize, oh, this is my new normal, right? This calm feeling where I'm with myself and I'm giving myself the constant, consistent love that maybe one of your parents didn't give you, right? So instead of that push pull dynamic, you're giving yourself that consistency. And even like for me, something I literally will do is I found myself doing it the other day and I didn't even recognize it, is I'll like treat yourself like you're a baby. Sometimes I will literally go into a like fetal position on my bed, or they say you can even get like a weighted blanket and like pat myself, because my nervous system, when you start getting anxiety, and think about, anxiety is rampant these days, right? And why? Because it's like all these people running around like crazy and we're on our phones and all these bright lights and flashing things. We're not slowing down and healing our nervous system and finding what that calm, grounded space looks like. So an easier way to do that is to do somatic exercises, to do breath work. I can do a 15-minute breath work and go from like to like here
Mhm.
and just right back.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're here. And now we're going to make more educated decisions. Now we're going to make more informed decisions. Now we're going to make decisions within our body instead of being reactive and feeling like social media. We need to just next, 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 next. And then we end up making really poor decisions and ending falling down a rabbit hole and wondering why we're there.
Yeah. And well, and that 15-minute breath work came with practice when you did it when it was 75 and sunny. You don't just do it under pressure. You do it daily to keep that tool
Yeah.
ready and handy so that when you start feeling some shit pop up, you're
Yes.
like, oh, I know what to do. So don't think, y'all.
Yeah.
You can just freaking tap into meditation. You ain't never meditated before. When we're saying stop, take a minute, breathe, and meditate. If you don't do it in your daily practice, it's not going to be a familiar area. It's still going to be discomfort because it's your first time doing it. And this is what we talk about with the foundation. And you're talking about people getting busy and always seeking something and trying to connect and trying to be with the friends and then watch this show and stay up to date on the new shoes and then watch the news and then listen to music and trying to do all this. Well, take time where you fill up your task list. You could still be busy with self investment, meaning put your phone down on time. Get you a nighttime routine, journal, plan tomorrow. Get in bed, read a book, a real book, not your phone. Stop bringing your phone to bed. That's why you keep snoozing yourself instead of choosing yourself. When you get up in the morning, get to the bathroom, brush your tongue, scrape your tongue, brush your teeth, wash your hands, wash your ass, and then get back to that journal. And then do some stretching, then do some breath work, some meditating, lift some weights. Do that. If you want to stay busy, do shit that's going to generate the neurochemicals that's going to generate the mindset and conscious control and the awareness and the self-investment, self-belief, and self-worth so that when you do go in the world, and yeah, the foundation might be uncomfortable at first, but your mind don't know the difference between a dream, imagination, foundation, or a dang World War III. It just knows I do not feel safe. I do not feel like I know what I'm doing. It could be a new city, a new relationship, a new budget, a new diet. It's your body's like, oh, it's uncomfortable. So put yourself in uncomfortability, which similar to you, breath work, you get uncomfortable. You know, you actually get freaking release of neurochemicals. Meditation is a lot of times uncomfortable, especially for people with anxiety. Heavy weights, fasting, cold treatment, cardio, sprinting, all those things make you feel like, oh my God, I want to give up. That's the part right there. That's the threshold. That's the uncomfortable, what'd you say, the comfortable with the chaos. So we have to do the things before that, before that surfaces, so we're prepared. And that is exactly what God talks about. You have to do the solitude. You have to do the silence. You have to do the gratitude, the prayer. You have to do the fasting, and not just from food. You got to fast from bullshit. What are you doing? Sugar, liquor, weed, porn, nicotine, caffeine, gambling, video games, shopping. Put it down. Quit. Instant gratification got your damn dopamine baseline
Yeah.
flooded. Now you can't even be grateful when you look at the sun
Yes.
because you're looking at your phone all day.
Mhm.
So do the reset,
Mhm.
set the foundation.
The dopamine hits crazy.
Man, they
Crazy.
don't need
That's the addiction right there.
and people get dopamine from being competitive. So they'll talk down to somebody to get a dopamine
Mhm.
boost to themselves. And then you wonder why nobody likes your ass because you don't like you enough to do the work on yourself. So you have to talk down to someone else so you can elevate your self-worth when you really should just be accountable and not talk about no one at all and figure out what you can do to fill up your own cup.
Yeah. That's a good question to ask when you recognize you're doing something and hopefully getting to the point where you even recognize it, right? But and maybe sometimes like you said, sometimes it takes having people around us cuz just like I went through exactly what you went through where I was like, "I'm healed. I am so healed. I am ready
Psych.
to date again." Like,
No.
"Oh my gosh." I immediately started dating and I was like, "Whoa,
Shit.
where did she come
Never
from?"
mind.
Like,
Sorry about
I
that.
thought you died, bitch.
Sorry about that. That was just I'm sorry.
Oh.
I just love you.
Mm. Yeah, so it's a beautiful thing, but yeah, we have to have those hard talks with ourselves and be like, okay, why am I doing this? Or how can I improve in this area? Or how can I love myself more through this? Love myself through this
Mm,
is the key right there, right? Like, why am I feeling the need to do this? I think the end of the day, like it's just, about being the best version of ourselves and having grace and having love and having empathy and finding someone that you can be broken with, be yourself with, and work together to glorify God, and what does that look like? It looks like hard talks. It looks like not feeling comfy sometimes and not feeling attractive and not feeling attracted, right? That
mhm,
part, like you don't just leave when you fall out of love. Love is a feeling. It's an emotion. It will come and go. So yeah, just doing that hard work and sitting with yourself and for me that dopamine is even like my Instagram likes. I'm like I have to stop looking every
mhm.
single time. Even if I'm posting really positive good things, I'm getting a dopamine hit every single time. So I made another like pact with myself, which I haven't been doing well at, but I'm going to go back to focusing on it, where I got to the point where I was like, I'm just going to schedule all my posts every morning and then not look at Instagram throughout the day, because that constant dopamine hit is not healthy. It's not normal. We
Yeah.
were not meant
How
to be like living in that state of constant like dopamine
so
hits.
how do you balance that? And this is me because I'm like, we're always creating. It's not like we're scrolling. we're on there responding to comments and DMs, but it's still a dopamine hit, but it's also validation of purpose because we're speaking about our mission and our story and the feedback. And we're trying to get people on retreats. We're trying to get people to webinars, trying to get them these resources. And so, how do you balance like, damn, I need to go respond? These people might be in a situation where they're ready to choose, but if we take all day, you might miss that window. How do you balance like that internal
Yeah.
battle?
No, that's definitely hard, and I think it has to do with, it's each person. It's an individual decision with yourself and kind of like where you are. With me, this past month, I was like, I don't care. I have to choose me. I have to love me right first. And so I was like, I'm gonna post every morning, and then I'm not touching it. They can be responded to tomorrow morning.
Right.
But I also have a team. So my business partner responds to DMs, and I have an incredible team that they also respond to DMs. And then I have automations too. And my thing is, I'm like, look, you can talk to someone around, and I get so many people that are like, I want this, I'm ready to change. And then you
Nothing.
are like, okay, here's all you have to do. And they're like,
Nah,
I'm like, "Well, then you don't really want it.
you
Then you
don't.
don't really want it. You're gonna go look at the gym every day and, like, complain about everyone with their hot bodies, but you don't wanna sign up for the gym, like, I don't know what to tell
Yep.
you," right? So, in some ways, I'm like, my automations are there because the people who want it, people who want to show up, and, like, they will end up actually talking to me and working with me if they sign up. But you can take a horse to water, you can't make it drink, right? So the way I see it is I'm like, if they want it bad enough, there's plenty of buttons to hit on my
Mhm.
page where they can sign up and make shit happen. But me not being there to rope them in through the DMs and get them to sign up, then maybe they're just not ready. Like, if I truly trust God's timing, then I will just show up as much as I can while still honoring myself and my process and let that be enough,
Yeah.
because otherwise it's never enough, right? Because it's like, oh well, I only responded to these DMs and I should have done more. Like, you could always do more, and
Mhm.
maybe you could also go live and I could respond to all of the requests that I haven't responded to, and I could also be posting, there's so many things
Yeah.
we could just, it never ends with the social media. So it's just about finding, what's enough for you to feel like you're showing up every single day, but you're also honoring your process. Because the other thing is, what I've noticed is when I honor myself first and when I am honoring my process and in frame, more people show up and more people sign up because they can feel that energy doesn't lie, right? And so when I'm in tune with myself and I'm in my best energy, they want that. That's magnetic. So I think that's kind of the
Yeah.
best answer I can give for
Yeah,
that
no,
one,
that's
but
a
it's tough. It's
it's
tough.
a great answer,
Yeah.
I've been thinking
Thank
about
you.
putting I had automations for a little bit, but then they just weren't. I had
Mm.
ManyChat, and I'm working on doing Go High Level, which has all the CRM tools and
So
lead
I
to
have
funnel.
Go High
You
Level.
like it?
I do. I
Okay.
use AR. It's this small company, like they're not that small. But they use Go High Level. Anyways, I'll connect you with them
Yeah.
because they're great. We've been using them for like 2 years now. They're really good.
Yeah, that'd be dope. That'd be dope because you travel a lot,
Yeah.
and I plan on doing the
Yeah.
same. And you can't be consistent like that when you're
Yeah.
traveling, especially when trying to ease
No.
yourself and get some
Yeah.
recovery and sleep and
Yeah.
just time alone and shit. Yeah, for sure. But so in relationships, like you're a Christian, I I'm a believer in Jesus, but I'm seeking what Jesus was seeking. Okay, so obviously Jesus didn't write the Bible, and he wasn't a Christian. So what was he going for? Was he married? He had a woman, but was he married? So when it comes to relationships, marriage is not about the piece of paper. I don't think. I think that's a part of it. I think marriage, as far as the spiritual construct, is about the relationship commitment in God's creation and how we treat each creation to fit the puzzle of true love. So what would
Yeah.
that look like, would you say, as far as the roles of what they were intended to be compared to the
Mm.
confusion of the roles they are now for a man and woman?
Yeah, no, 100%. Um, so in the Bible, it does talk about, and people always like to focus on the verse of like how, gosh, what is it? There's one part about, yeah, wives submit to your husbands. but there's a verse right before or right after where it says, "Husbands, lay down your life for your wife." So it's like, it is a beautiful thing when it is done correctly. Like, of course, I'm going to submit to a man who literally is like, "I would," and he means it, "I would die for you," right? Like, this is so silly, but, like, think about my dog and I, okay? This is such a silly thing, okay? But I don't have kids, so this is the closest I can get to
Me either.
that kind of love. Yeah, so I was in the forest and my dog was off the leash and he went running for what I thought was a bear. I ran so
Faster
fast
than you ever
after
did.
that dog, and my sis oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And my sister's like, "If that was a bear, like, you coulda died." I didn't give in that
Right.
moment. I maul me. I do not care. You are not taking my dog, you know? When there's that kind of love, like, of course he feels that, and that's why who does he listen to? Like, everyone else can be yelling at him. When I say sit, he sits down
Mhm.
because he knows I got him, you know? And I can put my whole ass hand in this mouth of this beast who has literally stalked so many other dogs. Like, he can be ferocious, but that boy would not touch me. He honors me, he respects me, he loves me, he cherishes me because I am the one that feeds him and keeps him safe, right? And it's that same dynamic with a man and a woman when a woman is like vulnerable and able to be so safe knowing he would protect me at all costs. He has my best interest in mind. Of course I'm going to do whatever he says, you know, even in especially in those moments where it's like how do I explain? Like maybe a really tense moment, right? Where a man is telling, you know, his wife, like, don't do that or don't go there or something. And she really wants to. What is she going to do in that moment? Is she going to just do what she wants to do? Or is she going to submit to and trust her husband when he's telling her to do something she doesn't want to do? Well, a woman who truly believes that her husband has her best interest in mind is going to listen to him
Mhm.
because she knows he will protect me. I am safe with him. I don't understand right now what the reason is, but I know him. And I know that he will lay down his life for me like God laid down his life for the church. And so I will submit to him. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing when it is done correctly. And it's not that complicated. We overcomplicate it and put all this power trip and this and that on it. But what is difficult is to get vulnerable to that place where we can break down and really like see one another and create that deep bond, right? So much of the time we don't even get there because we're like already being like, well, he wants me to wear this and that. And like, you know, having this power struggle before that bond and that trust is even built. You have to build that trust first.
Mhm.
And we're so quick to hand out trust sometimes when it hasn't been
To
earned,
strangers.
or we're so quick to take it away. Yeah, yeah. Like, I am guilty of that. I've literally had my therapist tell me before, like, you're too quick to give out trust. Like, "Yeah, for sure. I love you. I trust you with that." Like, you don't know him. Like, that has to be earned. Has
And
to
men
be
are
earned.
freaking weird as hell, nowadays too. And that's another subject. But when it comes to that relationship, what I believe is a superior man will submit to God, and the woman will submit to the God within the man. It's a channel. The man is just a
I love
channel.
that.
It's just a channel. But I
Yeah.
have to resemble my
Yeah.
belief with how I penetrate the world, how I protect our peace, how I
Yes.
speak about you, and how I am able to activate my purpose. I'm not neglecting my purpose to spend time with you in bed. We got time for that. That's on Saturdays, remember? I can't just trick this money on a vacation, or I can't just stay
Yeah.
in bed when I know I got to exercise so I can whoop somebody ass if they run up. I can't just stop taking care of
Yeah.
myself and do the things that attracted me to
Yeah.
you. So as long as I think right now what the problem is, women are more disciplined than men, and so when they come in to a relationship, the man is starstruck by the woman's physique because they're so emotionally unaware and not in tune with God, and they're doing neglectful things in the dark.
Mhm.
They don't even believe in themselves,
Mm.
so then they don't have the self belief to stick up to a woman because out of fear they might not find another one. So then they're just being a little
Yeah.
pussy. And now you got these soft men
Yeah.
raising freaking mental health and God knows what these kids turning into. And
Mm,
we expect some type of shift to come when there's a propaganda online for
yeah.
comfort, convenience, and taking days off for freaking a sore finger.
A sore finger. Yeah, no, it's so we can do hard things. That's what Kate and I always say is you can do hard things. Right? Like, I think you're right. Like discipline, the biggest thing is discipline. The biggest thing is giving up those habits that aren't serving us, right? The biggest thing is routine. I try and I find myself, days when I fall away from it, but I always work out. I will not, it doesn't
Always.
matter where I am, who I'm with, whatever. I wake up, I work out.
Right.
It may be a little later in the day, but I have not missed a day except for like 2 consecutive days when I got violently ill in Bangkok. But other than that, I do it every day. It is my mental health. It is what I need, right? And some would call that obsessive, but for me, I'm like, no, it keeps me in frame. It keeps me grounded. It's that time that I have with myself, with God to think, to reflect, and also gives me keeps my body healthy, right? But also on top of that, it's like I try to wake up immediately, do a guided breath work, and then I'm sorry, guided prayer, and then I do a breath work. Now, those are things I'm not as good about. I'm better at journaling every single day. But the breath work and Kate's better at breath work every single day, but doesn't journal. So we each have our things, right? But really putting together the more you add, like you said, ice baths, resetting your nervous system, the more you set in your routine, the better you are going to do, right? Because the more you get used to, okay, um, like you said, being able to be disciplined and do hard things. And you learn you can, you're maybe a lot more resilient than you realize, but you're not going to know that if you just stay comfy all the time. You have to do uncomfortable things.
And the most healthy relationship, I believe, is two people who can find happiness on their own and bring happiness and news back to the relationship. Bring something new back. Bring a new revelation, a new awakening, some book you read. Just change up your conversation. Add a new word into your dialogue. Ask them to do some different shit. This is a new dish. This is a new place I want to go. You got to have a desire to grow independently so you can come back together and rebuild a new legacy. If you come together and you stop seeking independently, you lose your compatibility and cohesiveness, but also your relationship just turns into what relationships have always been because you ain't got no
Mm.
external factors that can help you keep continuing
Yeah.
to evolve. So if you start losing yourself when you get into a relationship, that's a red flag in itself.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And it's important to really be grounded in what those things and know what they are before you get into one.
Mhm.
Because, like, for me, making music is crucial. It's so important, right? And I got into a relationship before, um, and also just my job and just pouring into my career and doing my YouTube and my social media and all this it's my purpose, right? Music and mission. And so I found myself over like the period of 2 years, I look back and I'm like, I abandoned a lot of that stuff because maybe he was off work. And so we were just watching a movie instead or
Yeah.
whatever. When if I was alone, I would have been working up until 6 to 9.
And you make
So
time for those days though, where you're like, okay, today I'm gonna
yeah.
dedicate to them. But when it was an intention to do on your own, and then you're like, well, he's here, so I'm not gonna.
Yes. Yeah, it's important to know ahead of time, what do you need? So now I know when I go into a relationship, I'm like, I need to take time to be with myself and doing my work. So I kind of need someone. This is unique to me. It's not like this for everyone, right? For me, I kind of need someone that has a funky work schedule so that maybe they'll be working at like 8 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night or in the afternoon because that will give me the space to do it. Otherwise, if they're just off at 5 o'clock and ready to just decompress, I'll be tempted to wanna do that when that just doesn't work for me. I
Mhm.
need to kinda be working around the clock off and on. So that's something unique to me. And the same with, like, the gym, right? I need someone who's really active and goes to the gym and works out all the time because I don't wanna feel like my need to work out every single day is an inconvenience. And then maybe I stop doing it eventually because I just feel like it's too much of a hassle for them and it's annoying that I have to go to the gym, you know? So it's really important.
If you don't work out, this is not about the weight, it's the traits. It's the type of person you're gonna be for
Yes.
my kids and when I need you. There's very few times I go into emotional turmoil and experience some shit outside of my
Mhm.
control that I am like, what the hell is going on? I need you to be there emotionally aware and supportive. But if you
Yeah.
don't work out, now you got fat cells, you got toxins in your blood, you can't get oxygen to your dang brain. Now your whole cycles is off because you're not regulating them because you don't have routine.
Yeah.
And the weightlifting is what keeps you alive long. Why I gotta be the one to wipe your ass because you ain't want to lift weights? Now I gotta wipe your ass for 20 years of our life because you didn't want to lift weights and you're friddle and brittle. Okay. We are
Brittle
in
and brittle.
we are
Oh
in
my
this
god, that's
together. Okay. I'm
hilarious.
not gonna be the
That's
ass
so
wiper. You
funny.
didn't I'm not
No,
the
yeah.
husband for that. All right. But
Yeah, exactly. So you
it's
know
for
that to be
longevity.
that's a thing for you. Yeah. And I mean it's important to really look at what those things are for everyone because some people that's not a thing and
Yeah.
that's never going to be a thing and that's okay. But you have to get really honest with yourself about what those things are and also about the things that you're going to be okay with because people are actually not perfect and everyone's going to have problems. So you need to also be like really, really honest with yourself when you get to know someone like, okay, these are things that I don't love, but that is part of who they are. And rather than trying to change them, you have to decide for yourself, can you accept them forever? If that never changes, if that huge character flaw never goes away, are you okay with it? Because it's not your job to change them. It's your job to decide if you can be okay with them the way they are or not. Because if you can't, leave.
And
If
how
you can, you can't be mad at them later on for having that when you knew it was something at the beginning.
And how many of those traits can you tolerate before you reach your capacity and neglect your authenticity? You might be able to be like, "Oh, yeah, that's fine. She don't wipe the toothpaste out the sink. I can get over that. Oh, she freaking doesn't. She cleans at nighttime and not in the morning. Or oh, she doesn't make the bed. Or but how many of them damn things you gonna be able to tolerate before it starts to cause dysfunction in my space? Where if I'm a neat freak, I can't just keep putting up with all this for life. Somebody got to change. I mean, that's just an example. But I believe in the 80-20. 80%, if 80% of y'all are aligned, core values, morals, belief systems, 20%, you're gonna have to be able to adjust because everybody got a 20% that somebody don't like. And if you're gonna keep seeking that 100%, you're gonna be alone your whole life. So find out what that is.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
If they got
Yeah.
80%, and then when you're like, oh, I'm not attracted to they or they're pissing me off. You're like, switch it to the 80. Switch it to the 80 immediately. Switch it to the friendship. Switch it to the compatibility, not in the moment. And I think a lot of people lose sight of that. And there's a boundary bullseye in my book where you have your non-negotiables in the center ring. You have the outer circle, the middle circle, which is how you spend your non-negotiables, love, morals, core valuables, your energy and time. Non-negotiables. That's something
Wait,
that
what do you mean how you spend your
so how you
non-negotiables? What does
give
that
your
mean?
time, energy, and love to others, how it goes out into people. So
Okay.
how you invest your time, energy, love, how you develop your belief system, what your morals are, your
Okay.
core values. Those are things that are non-negotiables as far as it has to be in alignment so that they respect those things. Otherwise, you start to lose yourself. And I'm sure everybody's non-negotiables are different. But so then how much
Yeah.
of those can you sacrifice at the expense of others? How much of your time you gonna put to work? How much of your time you gonna put to family? But eventually you give too much out, you ain't got no time for yourself. So find out what that is.
Yeah.
As well as love, as well as like, oh, these were my core values. Theirs are kind of off, but I can deal with that. Chuck it up to the 20%. And the second ring is your how you give it. And then the outer ring is just what you like to do. But a lot of people are just doing what they like to do at the expense of their core to connect with people in the middle ring, and then they get back in solitude and they don't even like themselves
Wait, a lot of people are doing what they like to do
to
at the
satisfy
even
others.
though it does not and it's not honoring their core values and their purpose.
Right. Seeking
Is that what
to,
you're saying?
yeah,
Yeah.
seeking to connect with
Okay.
others instead of choosing
Yeah.
yourself to attract. You're choosing to do things that other people like
Yeah.
in order to,
Which so ironically, it's not even what they like to do.
right. See?
A lot of people, like, for example, going out, I can't tell you the amount of times this is so funny. I would be out and I'm thinking about what I'm gonna eat when I get home. Right? It's like, so why was I even there? You know?
It's like, why am I here? I'm hungry. The whole time I'm here, I'm hungry, not thirsty.
You know? Yeah. So it's so important. So what are you because I'm really diving into these values. What does that look like for you? What are some examples of your values, your core values? Kate and I have a whole booklet which we're redefining to give to clients to really like put with the partner, and you fill out all your values and theirs to see if they align enough, right?
Hmm.
Because it's different for everyone. And how much is enough? It's a gamble. But for you, what would you say are some examples of
Yeah.
values?
Respect, authenticity, creativity. Those are, and discipline. But the most important is
Okay.
accountability. That's the most
Mm,
important value because the moment you don't like something, if you waiting for somebody to change, then you're playing the
mm,
victim. So even if I get into an argument with people that I love, especially now. In
mhm,
the past, I was always blaming other
mhm,
people. But if I can be like, okay, what about this can I control? Then all of a sudden it becomes less external and more internal, which then that's the fastest way to get over it and make a change is if you say, I lose, we win. If ever something goes good, it was either me and my creator or me and my people. If ever something goes bad, it was always something I can change. And that mindset of accountability has helped me really see solutions, has helped me see compassion, has helped me see empathy for others. But respect, accountability, discipline, those are top three. I think with those three things, you allow a woman to feel safe, you allow her to feel transparent, you allow her to feel herself and being able to be all versions of herself throughout the month, whatever that is. So for a man especially, and I'm not saying that I think there has to be some level of respect, accountability, discipline for a woman, but it's not going to look the same as me. But those have to be important in order for us to see the world the same and be able to see the solutions and come to agreements the same. So figure out what your core values are. And I think, what do you think? You think that's where people align as core values, or what's the deepest level that you think people should try to see compatibility?
I think, yeah, I think spiritually is the deepest. If you don't, because I've dated multiple atheists, believe it or not,
Oh, hell
and
no.
being this really strong
I
Christian,
can't
but
do that.
I'm, yeah, um, being a strong Christian and being very free-willed, it was just kind of like, well, I know who I am and what I believe, and I love them and I appreciate them. So I don't know how I justified my way around that at the times, um, but it leaks into the crevices of everything, absolutely everything. And I know that the Lord had His hand over me, protecting me all the times that I dabbled with that. Great, great people, but it just wouldn't work because my faith affects everything.
Mhm.
And like my relationship right now with my business partner is a great example of what I need in a marriage, right? Because we have the same core value of Christ is the center of everything we do. So when we disagree on something, it always comes back to Christ, right? Or even my sister and I, like, we have very different political beliefs, but at the end of the day, we can respect each other because we both know that in the end of the day, we love God and we love people and we're trying maybe different ways, but the goal is just to love people well.
Right.
And so
So it would
again, like,
when you say Christ, would it suffice to
mm,
have for someone else to be a Muslim in the fact that the compatibility is believing in something greater than you that has a spiritual text and a community and certain traits? Because
well,
if we boil it down, all religions have contribution, personal evolution, faith, solitude. They have fears. So everybody in all the stories
correct.
go through these things. So if someone were to understand the universal laws that are in these hundreds of religions, but just views it
Mm,
differently, kind of like your sister, is that something that would cause a clash just because it's not specifically Christianity?
yes, no, absolutely. It wouldn't. I'm very, very finally um uh solidified in my core belief that it's Jesus. Jesus is the center. And I believe that he existed. I believe that he died and was raised to life. And I believe that he was God and he said he was God. So either he was telling the truth or he was lying. So he didn't say also Muslims are correct. Also Islam is correct. Also, he said I am the way. So either he was lying and that breaks everything that I value and I trust, or he was not lying. So, because that is the core of what I believe, it is very important for me to be with someone. There's enough problems in life. There are enough things. We're gonna have to decide everything from baby names to wallpaper to what school to where we're gonna live to, there's so many silly little things. I don't want to have to argue and fight for the core of why I wake up in the morning and why I exist. And for me, whether it's my music or my coaching or whatever, the core of why I exist is to live and love like Jesus. And if I am with someone else who that is also their core, maybe they can be doing something that really pisses me off, but I know that we both have the same goal in mind. So, how do we bring it back to that and serve Him with our lives and put ourselves aside and put our frustrations aside and come together and serve Him? Because in the end of the day, when hard things happen, serving others is always what fixes it, right? So when you put your partner first or when you put yourself aside or when you're able to, like you said, show grace and show love and be vulnerable and explain like, actually what's happening is I'm scared. Actually what's happening is I feel insecure. All of this, all of that stuff can be dealt with, but you can't spend your whole life trying to prove to someone that Jesus is real when they don't believe it.
And
And you'll crumble.
yeah, and this is why we have to have 80% core values because there's a lot of fat ass Christians out there, and I'm talking to y'all. Did you not hear the book? It said your body is a temple. You forgot that part? Did it say the God is within you, the kingdom is in you? What you doing to his house? He done gave you a gift. Some people out here take better care of the gift they got on Christmas from
Mm.
the person they love than the gift they got from God. And I can see your choices showing in your physique. But that's one thing you said. You got gym. So if you got gym and Christianity, that weans out fat Christians. So y'all better get y'all
I'm done
better
with you.
I'm just saying, y'all better get your core values. It can't be one thing, money. Well, then there's a lot of other things that are gonna cause stress. If people are like, oh, she has to be
Mhm.
fine as hell. Well, her mental, emotional, spiritual might be demons. Okay, so figure out what the
Yeah.
combination, the compilation is for you, and what's that rooted down to. But then you got to be able to exemplify it first. You got to be able to see it in you first in order to attract it. Otherwise, you're still out here in self neglect and misdirect. So that's dope. No,
Yeah.
I agree for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that then we start to trickle into these other values, and kind of get really specific. And it's important to get specific about those values so that you can like avoid problems down the line, right? So, like you said, like money as a value. Now, again, it all goes back to if Jesus is at the core, it doesn't really matter if you miss a line on money, because you could probably find a way to like talk about, okay, let's set our opinions aside and be like, how can we honor the Lord the most with our money? But, some people value traveling more. Some people value saving more. And if you have someone that's like, I do not want to travel at all
Right.
because I want to, own a business and a house, there's no way. I
Right.
would die. Or I would just be like, peace out. Like
I'm
I would
going,
be like,
and you're
enjoy
not
your
coming.
house. I am going. So it's important to like have those down before you get married, right? To like really, that's why back in the day, and they still have it. And I was just like, the last date I was on, I was like, if I'm going to be in a relationship, I need to go to marriage counseling at the church, right? Like they have all these, we have incredible tools. We have the internet these days. That's one nice thing about the internet. There's incredible tools to help you set yourself up for success, right? So really digging deep and figuring out like what's your relationship with money? How do you, like you said, the house one is big. The house one is big. A person that is a clean freak, being with a person that is comfortable with um a lot of stuff.
It mess up your whole
You know?
day.
Yes, like I have ooh, yes. I literally can't function with my space out of, alignment. I'm after this, I'm going to spend the next 3 days like purging my closet. So, but some people don't care about that and that's
Mhm.
totally okay, but it's important to identify those things ahead of time so that you can both say, am I number 1 okay with the fact that they are not a clean person and I can never expect them to be. I have to accept that this is the way they are, or am I not? And
Mhm.
that's just one silly little thing. How they spend their money, how they spend their time. Do they drink? Do they smoke? All of these things are values, right? And we need to like really take a look. And there's some of them that we wait till 2 years down the line. Hear people all the time like, well, I've been dating them for 2 years and I just found out they don't want kids.
Right.
Why was that not a
Off
conversation?
the rip. We talk about
you
that
know?
first. We talking about money, finances. We talking about your childhood, how your parents are, and we talking about spirituality for sure. In the whole first
Yes.
year, that's all we
How
talk
are you
about.
gonna raise them?
Hmm.
Yeah. How are you raising your kids? Are we taking them to church? Oh, well, you don't want to take them to church, but I want to take them to church. That's gonna be a big fight. That is gonna be a big
Every
fight,
week.
right? That is yes, that is very avoidable if you just cover these things. Maybe not all of them are possible to be covered on the first date, but like I said, I have a full 2 sheets that I filled out that I gave to the man that I went on the last date with to fill out, right? Because I'm like,
Need the
I'm not
maps.
trying to waste time.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I have extensive questions. I have 31 questions I make people fill out, like the whole thing. I'm not messing around. I do not have time to waste. I know and I still have even some more digging to do with like what are my needs, and that's why I'm taking these 4 months to really be alone and sit here with Chels and be totally content and have my nervous system be all calmed down and nice and fuzzy so that I can go out and date and have her get all effed up again, but at least from a place
That ain't gonna happen. Not
where
if you do
I'm
the work. I believe in that eventually.
well, but like you said, you have to when you're in relationship. I had a pastor say one time, everyone thinks it's a band-aid. No, it's a magnifying glass.
Hmm.
And that is if I'm going to have all my problems brought up, I'm going to have to face them. And if coming from a grounded place where I can hear it and be like, you're right. I do need to work on that.
Yeah.
I did not see that when I was sitting alone in my
Accountability.
room for 4 months, Yeah. But if I'm grounded in who I am and that my worth comes from the Lord, not from someone else's opinion of me or not from me having a flaw I didn't know about, then I'm able to handle those things. But it's important to figure out what your values are because then all of a sudden, if you're you know, years into the marriage and they're like, I want to travel or I want to move to Bali, and you're like, absolutely not. Well, you should have decided that 5 years ago,
Hmm. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Y'all, hey, do the work, man. Do the work on yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, ain't no relationship gonna work. And that's just how it is.
No.
So thank you so much,
Yeah.
Chelsko. I'd love to invite you to the CYC as a special guest. But also, if you're doing that cleanse, you might as well join the challenge. No sugar, liquor, weed, porn, nicotine, or caffeine, or processed foods or condiments for 30
You
days.
got me on the
A
caffeine,
lot of people
yo.
say that.
I was hanging in there until the
A lot of
caffeine.
people say that caffeine, they're like, "I can't," but what I've noticed, especially, I'm was big on caffeine, after about day 4, you're good. You get more
Mhm.
consistent energy, and I know some people, it's like, "Coffee's the experience," but to reset that, adenosine
Yeah,
receptors, which is what gets blocked with caffeine, which makes us feel like we have energy, but it's actually just stop us from seeing that we're tired, and that's what caffeine does, but when you block
yeah,
that, you have a new relationship when it visits. So I do it 30 days. I do caffeine every day. I do a coffee, a pre-workout. But when I do the challenges, I
yeah,
go without it. It's tough, especially when you're already fit and you're already, mentally aware. I think it'll be easier for you. But
yeah.
if you want to join, join. It's just a
Yeah,
group
I
chat.
have done it before. I do remember doing it before and feeling like, "Wow, this feels great."
Right.
And then I went back to it.
Yeah. Well, that's why we do it 3 times a year. We do 30 days because I go
Okay.
out like once a
Okay, yeah,
week.
send
So
me the info. I'll
yeah.
post about it too, and we're doing a 4-month challenge if any of you guys wanna join me on Joina. I have a Joyna. It's in my bio. If
Yeah. We'll
you
put that
wanna
in the
join, we're
notes.
doing group calls and chats for my 4-month challenge, and
Nice.
it's just giving up something that is hard for you to give up, whatever that is.
What else you got coming out there? Where can people work with you? Where can we find you? What can we look forward to?
Yeah, no, 100%. So we have in my bio, or if you DM me Freedom, I have a free masterclass to talk about it. It's funny because we've been talking about the gym all day, but talking about how this work is like going to the gym, you know? So we have programs, and if you want to reset your nervous system and get yourself where you are at a good grounded place, like we have all the tools. If you're ready for it, if you're ready for a challenge and actually want to become that best version of yourself, DM me Freedom or click the link in my bio.
Chelsko, about to grow some more. Thank you for your contribution in this
Yeah.
conversation. I'll put your page in the notes. Y'all make sure you tap in with her to GYM, and that's grow your mind with inner size. In the meantime, in between time, big dream time, routine time, gut clean time, keep the gratitude in your attitude, and always choose yourself.